Hey guys, this is Nathan Goldthwait. In the studio, we're working on Get Jiggy, or until I find a better name, that's what it's going to be called. So here, check it out. So yeah, that's just the chorus. So let's break it down and see what I did. Okay, so the first part was an electric piano, and it's basically the default sound. I just changed a few things. So first, as you may have saw there, I added in some tremolo modulation. So it starts at 1 bar tremolo, and then it goes up to an eighth, so you hear it build up. And it's pretty low intensity, but it just adds a little, it makes it cool. Adds a little vibe to it. Overuse that word way too much. Okay, down here I have some bells that were also going on in the chorus, so. So I just dragged them over, they're copied. This is actually a default patch from Logic, so yeah, it's still got some good sounds. Then I took that gospel improv, also from the drop. Here you can hear it right somewhere here. Yeah, that thing. So I took that, and the full version is just from the Loops browser. It's really easy to get. And all I did was just pitch it up so it matched the pitch of the song. Didn't EQ it at all. Still got the EQ for some reason. I put an echo on it, and the reason I put the echo before the Space Designer is because I wanted it to sound really full and lush. So instead of if you reverse them, you'll get a different sound. Here, watch. And it almost gets cluttery, whereas if you've got the source, which is being echoed, and then the reverb is on top of all the transients, as opposed to the other way around, then you get a cleaner sound. So that's kind of cool to have in the background. And a cool trick is if you're doing an intro, if you can see here, I don't have the dry reverb all the way up and sort of a mix between the two. If you've got the dry all the way up, it'll just sound too in your face already. It's just way too much, so I keep that down and the reverb up. Yeah. And what else? Oh, okay, so these drums, I was actually debating whether to put these effects on them, so here they are. So this plugin that I use often is called Isotope Vinyl. It's actually a free plugin that Isotope actually makes, and they give it out for free on their website, so you guys should all check it out. It's really great. And so what you can do is you can add in the characteristics of vinyl on it. So I think I talked about it a little bit in my Tascam video, but I'll go over it again. So you can add in mechanical noise, so the noise of the disc moving, wear. So that basically takes away the highs and lows and makes it gritty and stuff. But just having it, and you've got this year thing, so that's the fidelity of the sound. So I turned it to 1980, so it just cuts off the lows, cuts off the highs, rolls it off real nice. And that's about it. And so I did that, and then I excited it a bunch in the mid-range and just gave it a bunch of new harmonics. So you get this rich, thumpy, but not bassy sound. But I don't think I want that. So that's to be continued. We'll see about that. It's just a sidechain bus. Okay, then there's this guy. Which is something I used in my song Smoke. You can find it on my SoundCloud. So basically it's just a sine patch with a little noise filtered into it. Nothing fancy going on in my synthesis. And I put an overdrive on just to give it some warmth. So here it is without. so it makes it buzz, and then there's a little EQ, so it fits in nicely with my bass. So let's hear those two together. So that's very important. If you've got a trap bass going on or an 808, you need to cut out frequencies of everything else. Otherwise, you're just going to get a lot of messes and pumps going on in the low range, which is something you really don't want. Like, for example, I recorded some guitar. Here, check this out. So yeah, it's just an Ibanez RG series that I got a while back when I used to be in a band. And I don't know, it serves its purpose. So compressing a little bit just to even out the transients. This saturation knob is another free plugin, which is amazing. I use it on almost every single track. It's just harmonic saturation. It's by Softtube, and it's free. You get to choose which direction they're going. So if you want it to be high pitched, low pitched, like roll off, it's amazing. Get it. First I used a preamp. That's I just boosted the treble a little bit in the presence, and then another amplifier, which was the main thing. And, you know, you just browse through presets till you find one that speaks to you, and then you mess with it till it works. Spreader to give it width, which you might not hear because this is a mono mic, but it really widens things up and makes it stand out. That's another thing. If you want to increase the volume of something in your track, don't just turn the volume up. You should think about using stereo delay and using the stereo field to your advantage, because if you just turn up the volume on everything, it's just going to be a mess. But if you place things left and right and all throughout your stereo field, you're going to get a really nice and clean made final result, and it's really going to sound good on a lot of systems. So stereo width, don't underestimate that. And volume is not always the answer. Finally, EQ. So I took out some of the lows. Definitely, because if I had all those lows on, I was playing those on the E and A string of my guitar, so that would definitely mess with my basses. So I took out that down here, and then took out a little bit more low mids, and then boosted the highs just to give it presence. And I'm sending it to, oh yeah, I'm actually doing this. I'm sending it to a pitch shifter. So what it's doing is sending it through this bus 17 to a pitch modulator. So what it's doing is taking it and it's octaving. It's taking my chords and putting them an octave up, which is cool. And I found that these three didn't really work well. They were all artifacty and poppy, so I used pick tracking, and it works the best. Maybe latency is what I need, because I'm hearing a little bit of delay there. So let's see if that can be fixed by... Yep. Okay. So there was a little delay before, and now, like maybe a few milliseconds, but now when you put on latency compensation, it fixes it and makes it awesome. Going down. That's just playing on the fifths. It's a little punchy thing just to fill in more lows, because my intro obviously needs that. Oh, and then I've got this sort of fuzzy thing going on. So do you hear the future bass thing right here? So I took that and I duplicated the entire track stack, saturated it, delayed it, and reverbed it, and now it sounds like this. It's just coming in with a little volume right here. So it's just on the fringes, and it's really wide too, so it just adds a little ambiance or whatever, and keeps it interesting, because things get boring if you just have straight up chords. So that's that. It's bi-layered, so you've got this one first. Then you got a top layer. So what that lets me do is give this bit crushed and warmth and stuff, and then this one a lot more. And so I like my lows to be central and my highs to be spread out, so you get a full sound, but the lows aren't all over the place. Because if you're playing in a club or you're playing on large speakers, the bass is going to be in mono, and if you take a really wide bass and you play it in mono, it's going to sound like crap, and you want your bass to be punchy and tight. I got some acoustic drums going on. Yeah, so So basically just that little fill and then a ride, which really helps fill things out, actually. And your standard trap drums up here. And then you get punchy. So that was fun. Another thing, the second part of the video, I guess, is this bit, the second part of my chorus, which was really cool to make. It's like sweet release almost, because this bit's all choppy, but this is sort of more smooth and driving. So check it out. So just, I call it boom band. It's like the big jazz bands that are just going off. And another thing I wanted to go into was this horn section, which was fun to make, I guess. So it's Logic EXS 24 samples that I used. All right, so the final thing I wanted to discuss was the horn section in this drop part, which was really cool and fun to make. So like I said, I just use EXS 24 samples that were already built in. I didn't download these from anywhere, but let's dive into it. So it's a layered sound, and here is what it sounds like all together, I guess. Okay, so we can break that down into trombones, which were more bassy, and full brass, top brass. Okay, so let's start with the full. That's the main part that you hear. So it's the full brass staccato sample. Not much has changed on the inside. I bit crushed it a little bit, just to give it some crunchy punchy. Cut off the lows with an EQ and sent it to a bunch of reverb. Trumpets. Oh, it's a little modified chord. It's not the same notes. Same exact thing, just cut the highs a little bit higher. I mean, cut the lows a little bit higher. And then I got the bass, and this is what really fills it out and makes it great. It's actually following the same pattern as my 808. But anyway, what this is the trombone staccato sample. I bit crushed it. I put this saturation knob that I talked about on there because it's always good. Overdrove it with no low pass, so it sounds really crunchy and gritty. And then I enveloped it to give it punch and to take away some of the end. So it's more percussive. And the whole thing sounds awesome when you put it together. So yeah, that's the horn section of the drop, and this thing is just continually evolving, and I've been putting in a bunch of work on it every day, and it's just been changing so much, so you'll probably get another video about this in about 3 days, but that'll be all for now. So thanks for watching. I hope you learned something. If you've got any questions about anything I did, feel free to ask, and I'll try and answer them. All right, thanks for watching.